Hello, my name is Brant Hunt. Today is the third day of March 2024. My channel is Discerning What is True. I'm also sharing this information on Odyssey. What I want to talk to you about is something that happened long ago, um, back in the 1980s, in a small business that I was involved in. And the title of my talk is How the State Makes You the Bad Guy as a Small Business. In other words, you're you're as a you're the middleman. In other words, when you sell a product in a particular state that I live in, you are responsible to make sure that when you sell this product to either to charge tax or not charge tax. Do you follow what I'm saying? In other words, the state is passing its responsibility to you. Okay. There are certain businesses that what I would call are tax exempt. Well, if they're tax exempt, meaning simply is they're using that product and do what I would call making something or building something, okay? So you trust the person who you asked this question long ago, which I did. I'll take that responsibility. I made that mistake. I trusted the person who was telling me the information, who was telling me the truth, but they wasn't. Um, so we got in trouble as a small business, and I had no idea what was going on. I really didn't. And so the state penalized me for not quote unquote collecting, stating to the thing. So what happened? We had to eventually make a rule. Simply is that if we're gonna get everyone here to have the ID form such and such for the taxes, so that you're gonna either tell me yay or nay. You're gonna sign your name here. This is what the state does. This is how they pass the buck. This is how they do this. You become the bad guy in collecting taxes or not. You understand? This is how they use you, as the state does. And the state I live in is in South Carolina. And I'm sure that it's done, I'm 99% sure it's the same way in all states of this country. That is the United States. So this is how they cause harm to you as a small business. And it was a large amount. I'm not going to go into that part at all. And there was no way in the world, in fact, we were penalized for not doing this. You see, there's a real big problem here in this country, a major problem. In order to even function in have a business, you have to have a small business license. You have to have a license in order to operate. If this country was truly free, why would you do that? Okay, so I'm telling you a factual story that actually transpired, over 40 years ago. Not quite 40 years, maybe 30 years ago, somewhere 25, 30 years ago. Anyway, the state penalized us for not collecting tax when it's actually all they had to do when they knew who it was that did not pay their tax. All they had to go do was to penalize them. Do you understand what's going on here, folks? Do you understand this? What is going on simply is the state is pushing you and making you responsible for collecting taxes when it's not your responsibility. It's not your responsibility. And though it's happened many years ago, it always irks me what the state did because it's wrong. They would have, they could check your record, such and such. They know what you collect. Your state also, if you run a small business, you pay what they call withholding taxes also for the employees in your company, and you're responsible to pay those taxes when at a certain amount time period. What that means simply is that you collect taxes, you collect the money and take that out. So your business pays part of that tax that goes to withholding tax, you see. And most 99% of the people who don't run a small business have no earthly idea what goes on. They really don't. They don't have any earthly idea because they don't know anything, you see, because they don't run a small business. So, where I live at, this particular town I live in, I'm charged each year approximately $300 to quote unquote run a small business. For what? To be in business, to be able to have a license to quote unquote to run a business. You see, this is a major problem in this country here that we live in. This is the reason why people don't go out and do this anymore. What they've done is discourage small businesses in this country. They've destroyed small businesses because of this. This is a way of making money, you see, for not doing anything. So what did the small business tax do? The license to do. This doesn't do anything. All you do is get a little piece of paper saying you paid the taxes that year. You see. Now, folks, we are not living in a free country. And whoever told you in school and high school and college and whatever, you're not living in a free country. Yes, you have some responsibilities, but everyone is taxed everywhere, folks. Everywhere. Okay? You're charged on every tax. You're taxed on gasoline. You're charged a tax on everything that you almost, swallow, except food. And if you buy it from a grocery store, it's not taxed. But if you go to a restaurant, you're taxed. You see what's going on here? All this kind of craziness. And reality simply is they have more money than you realize. They always say that they always do a poor mouth thing, saying they don't have any money. You see, and it gripes me because it's wrong. If you want to collect the tax, then you get your employees out there and collect the tax. The state does. It is not our responsibility, small business, to do that work for you. You see, that is your damn responsibility, not ours. And so you make us look like the bad guy in the small business and entrepreneurs, you see. And if someone, I've got to do the paperwork. I've got to do the paperwork in order to do this. You see, I have the responsibility. I'm under their jurisdiction. Do you understand that? You follow that? Responsibility? That you are actually causing harm to other people if they don't tell you the truth in some ways. But yet they don't take the responsibility of collecting it. It's amazing how this system is done. And it's the same way with the federal government. The federal government does the same thing to the state governments too. It's the same apparatus. Same thing. So the state comes in and say have federal taxes. So the state's responsible to then quote unquote to pay those taxes, due back. So such and such. So you see, this is the underhanding type of thing that's going on. I don't know. Again, this is a way most people, unless you run a small business, you have to have a license to even operate, which is fucking crazy. The state assumes that you are the guilty one. Reality is that they are the guilty ones who do harm to other people, not you. But then you're the one that gets in trouble if you make a mistake. You see, it's not your responsibility. So your responsibility is to run a business and make money in order to pay your employees and to make a good product or sell a good product, you see. And so when you run a manufacturing situation, you're also taxes are done differently than you actually just selling a product. It's even worse than Georgia. Georgia would actually do what I would call inventory tax, and I don't know what other states that do it. I'm just saying that South Carolina did not require it, and when the company I was involved with, that would charge what we call inventory tax. So you were taxed on your inventory. Folks, if you realize how much money goes out to taxes and your responsibility to do that, which is basically you're working for nothing to do all this paperwork for the government, you see. Something's fucking terribly wrong in this country, folks. And some of us need to fucking wake up and understand what's going on. And yeah, I am kind of mad about it. This is wrong. You see, it's about right and wrong here. It's not about, the money, so to speak, although it is part of the money also. And so when you do something of this nature and you took you were depending on someone to tell you the truth, which reality government doesn't trust you to tell the truth because they have to have a piece of paperwork. You see, they have to have a piece of paperwork to quote unquote authorize it to mean it simply is that you are doing what you're supposed to be doing. It's a paper trail, so to speak. You follow? You see this? You see, it's a way of them not taking responsibility themselves. So when you only collect, say when we were quote unquote penalized, it was an enormous penalty for what we did. One particular person it was. And they had two people come in, employ somebody working for the state, come in to your business such and such and take all your records, such and such, business records, such and such. You see, because something didn't add up to them, whatever. Da, 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 da. You see, if a man was truly free, he wouldn't have to have someone overlooking him all the time. Do you understand that? There's the old adage that people say in working, when someone comes there, I'm from the government, I'm here to help you. That's a blatant lie. You see, they're not here to help you at all. They're doing the dirty work themselves also. You see, I'm here for the government. I'm going to help you out, such and such. And it's like, no, you're not. Just get off my property. But then you really don't own your property neither. You see, that's another thing that goes on. You see, because you can't bury your own body on your own property anymore because you don't no longer own it. You see, and I don't want to go in a whole lot about this, but I'm just thinking about this. As I'm 63 years old. I'm looking around and thinking things are far worse than ever in this country. You wonder why any small business. Oh yeah, there's a small business. People think, well, McDonald's is a small business. No, McDonald's is not a small business. Folks. Burger King, such and such, all these places like that, they're corporations, and yeah, they're run by a what I would call a enterprise, so to speak. That is, someone owns those things and they get what they call a franchise. That's the way they use it. You see. But what irks me simply is, you see, I become the bad guy because I have to take responsibility and such, when it really is simply is their responsibility. It's not mine. But see, they passed the buck. They passed the buck, folks. It's the same way with the federal government does the same thing. The tax the same thing. That's the whole thing with the wages and such done to you. You see how they use the state itself also. You see, at one time, you had a state that actually was a form of republic type of thing and actually did have its own power, but they forfeited that with the amendment that actually allowed everyone to vote now for senators, which was appointed a long time ago by not you or me or whatever, but it was appointed by the people, the congressmen and the legislators in the state. They chose the two legislators that they wanted. It was not based upon a democratic voting system, which is over 100 years old now. People don't even know this. People have no idea. They don't have any idea about what goes on. So I just want to share with you how, small business and how it works, such and such. It's a very underhanded way of doing people. And I won't go in a whole lot more on that, but I just basically wanted to share this video because I've been involved in small business before, and I see how these people do this stuff. It's really wrong. It's really wrong what's going on. And, it's a different situation in the 1980s when you had a small, that at one time in the private sector had the better jobs and the better paying jobs also. That's completely gone away in a lot of ways in this country. Now it's the state employees who have more jobs and the better paying jobs too, you see. So you see how this has all been, it's been twisted in the last 30 or 40 years. And you wonder why everything's going to hell and everything in this country, so to speak, because we've gotten off the wrong principles here. The government thinks that it knows everything it's supposed to do, and it thinks it knows everything, and it actually is like a quote unquote a burden upon people. And they're the burden, not us. You see. And it's really basically, by you voting again, you're consenting. You're consenting to these people who frankly don't have any business to be over you. You see. It's a very sick system, you see. It's like a vulture system, like it takes blood from you. They rob you of your essence is what they do. So thank you for listening. Appreciate you taking the time to listen to this video. Again, I just want to share this information because I think it's vital for people to understand what goes on. All right, take care. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.